Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Oh, what a spanking day. So I'm about to break my video every 2 weeks kind of thing, because I wanted to give you an update regarding the gimbal situation. So if you watched my last video, you will probably remember there was a point where the gimbal started to freak out quite badly. And from that point on, the footage was pretty pants, wasn't it? Not good. Because from that point, it wasn't doing anything. Nothing at all. It was just kind of sat there, just not doing its job. And that's really disappointing. So I jumped on the internet and had a Google, and it seems to be quite a common problem, because the particular model of gimbal that I've got, the Feiyutech WG something, WG something, yeah, the Feiyutech WG something, it has bump stops on each of its axes because they don't rotate the full 360 degrees. They'll rotate so far, hit the bump stop, and that's as far as it goes. So apparently it's quite common that during a heavy impact the axis can rotate past its bump stop, and when it does, it just starts to spin uncontrollably, and the wires between the circuit board and the motor start to twist as it starts to spin. And when the wires twist, the connection between those two components comes unattached, which then causes it to be all lifeless and non gimbal-like. So I had a look on YouTube, and there are tons of videos on how to repair these gimbals for that issue, and there's even one guy that does it. I can't remember the guy's name, but he repairs it sort of mid-ride on the trail, which is quite impressive, because it took me flipping ages, and I was sat at the table in the kitchen in the dry, you know. So I reconnected everything, put it all back together, put the GoPro on, fired it up, and it's still got the same issue. It's just not doing its thing. It's all lifeless and whatnot. So I'm just gonna forget about it for now. I don't know what's wrong with it. I've tried to take it somewhere to be fixed, but nobody seems to want to touch it. I don't know if it's because they're difficult to fix, or if people don't really know how they work. I don't know. But everyone I've spoken to has said that they would have to send it back to the manufacturer, and Feiyutech are a Chinese company, and the postage costs of sending it to and from China probably outweigh the cost of actually buying the gimbal, which I'm really gutted about, because I really wanted to go down the gimbal route, because it just makes the videos more enjoyable. Because I don't like watching videos where it's all shaky, because it makes you feel sick, and you can't really make out the trails, and it's just not nice to spend 15-20 minutes watching footage that kind of makes you feel like you want to vomit, really. So I'm really gutted that I'm in this position, because I know I took a risk buying it off eBay. I knew that when I bought it, but I was kind of hoping that it would just do its job. But that is not the case at the moment. So going forward then, the alternatives. So I could drop 200 quid on an Evo SS 3-axis gimbal, and I've seen lots of good reviews about these. Nice and sturdy, and they're a US based company as well, so much easier to send something back to the States than it is to send it to China. And I think even the turnarounds would be pretty rapid. So there's that option. Like I said, they're about 200 quid at the moment. GoPro do a Karma Grip gimbal, which also has very good reviews. It's been out for a few years now, and they do like an extension cable as well, so it kind of takes a lot of the bulk away if you're mounting it on your chest. The third option is to go down the Hero 7 Black route, which is a tall order really, because they're mega money. I mean, they are super impressive pieces of kit, you know, super impressive. But they're, you know, they're over 300 quid, you know, just, you know, I just can't justify spending that much money. I can't even, you know, I can't really justify spending 200 quid on a new gimbal, you know, to be honest. So I don't really know what to do. I think price-wise, the Karma Grip's kind of somewhere in between the Evo and the Hero 7, kind of mid to high twos, I think, something like that. Because I like the gimbal route. I'd like to go down the gimbal route because the gimbal kind of reacts in real time to whatever it is you're riding, whereas I believe that the Hero 7, through some kind of dark magic, it kind of tries to predict the terrain, which is great. I mean, the footage looks good, but I don't think it's as good as a gimbal. I mean, you can't beat something that reacts in real time. The stabilization on the Hero 7 is stonking, you know, really impressive, but not quite as good as the gimbal. But then on the downside, I've never really liked the idea of having the gimbal mounted on my chest. You know, if I come off, when I come off, I'm probably going to land face first. So anything that's attached to my chest is going to get sort of pushed, you know, right onto my ribcage. And I mean, the gimbals aren't heavy, but they're, you know, they're chunky sort of metal objects, and you've got the GoPro on front of that, GoPro in front of that. So going over the handlebars kind of freaks me out a bit, because you've got all that stuff mounted on your chest that could just compress into you. Whereas if I went down the Hero 7 route, you know, if I mounted it on my helmet somewhere, that would improve the stabilization even more, because you've got a nice wobbly head, you know, it's not fixed to your chest. So there's a couple of sort of pros and cons, you know, for each route. You know, gimbal's probably got better stabilization, but, you know, it needs to be on your chest, whereas the GoPro Hero 7, probably not quite as good stabilization, but, you know, if you mount it on your helmet, it's probably going to be sort of there or thereabouts, and that leaves you sort of chest free of any obstacles. Because I don't really want anything being sort of smashed into my chest if I come off, really. So I don't really know what to do, but, you know, I can't really afford to go down either route at the moment, so there's not a huge amount of point sort of spending, you know, any time sort of worrying about it, really. So for now, going forward, I'm going to stick the GoPro on my chest mount and just kind of see what it's like, because a lot of the little tracks, you know, that I've been going around, you know, they're quite smooth. You know, I'm not really hitting, you know, massive sort of like rooty sections or, you know, like rocky sections at the moment. So I'll just stick on the chest mount and see what it's like on the next ride out, and kind of go from there, I suppose. So yeah, super gutted about it, but, you know, that's kind of where I am at the moment, really. I suppose if the footage mounted on the chest is, you know, too shaky and not pleasurable to watch, then I could have a look at sort of mounting it on my helmet. Because actually the gyro helmet I've got, which is the Switchblade, it comes with 2 visors, and the second visor's got a GoPro mount underneath. So rather than mounting it on top of your helmet and getting like a massive bird's eye view, you can mount it underneath the visor, which kind of, you know, just kind of brings your eye level down a little bit, which is good, because I really prefer, you know, the chest mount footage, because you get to see, you know, the rider's input, you know, through the bars, and it's a nice angle to view from. I think chest mounted footage, that angle is lovely, but I might try it on the visor mount and just kind of see what that looks like. But I think first off, we'll just stick it on the chest and go out for a blast and see what it's like. So I didn't want to stick this on the start of the next video, because it would just make it super long and it'd be really quite boring just listening to me ramble on. But yeah, so that's where we are at the moment. But please check me out on social media. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at HarrisMTB. Check out the website, which is HarrisMTB.com, or send me an email at HarrisMTB@hotmail.com. Please like the video, share the video, leave any comments below. If you could subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, that would be marvellous. I really appreciate the support, and I will see you in the next one.